Everybody who was on international break, they're all available for Sunday.
Yes, they're all available, ready to go, fresh, and yeah, very, very happy to be back.
And they issued a timeline on Stian's recovery and to return. That's still the same, right? That has not changed.
Yeah, it hasn't changed, but cautiously optimistic about it after the intervention. I think the doctors were very positive about it, so we'll see how he responds after that, but we're positive that might not take a long time and be actually a quick one.
The partnership that Noah and Derek had against Toronto, I know the conditions made things tough, but what were the good things that they did, and what were some of the things that maybe they need to work on if they're paired together against Chicago?
I think they were pretty good, pretty solid, honestly, when you talk about the behaviors of those two and the back four in general. I think they were pretty good, pretty awesome. There were a few things, maybe in the distribution, not distribution, I never did that word, sorry, but the gap in the back, the build up play, and against men for men, marking and identify some continuity, stuff like that. It was tough, it was a tough game, a difficult game to play, especially with the conditions of the wind and grass and all this, but we talk about that. It was more in possession, what I was a little bit more, how I can say, coaching. But out of possession, I think actually the back line had everything.
Derek did mention that you had talked to them about just the filling in space behind. If somebody steps, you got to make sure that that space is covered.
Yes, I think they were pretty good on that. It was, of course, you can always talk afterwards, the goal, when Noah stepped on. And how we just closed down that. I think Brooks did. Derek was a little bit late, but it was a great touch by the kid. So you have to give credit also to your opponent. It was a great goal, but yeah, things that we can do better is those principles of pressure on the ball, cover on the back. Yeah, we normally did very well.
From what you've seen of Chicago thus far in 2024, what's different for them this year? I know they have Kuipers coming in, Acosta, some of the new signings. From a technical standpoint, how have those new players kind of changed things for them this year?
Well, it's also the new right back. I think the center backs are solid too. The new right back is a bit more solid, maybe, less aggressive going forward, but more solid. The 9 for me is the one that might change things for them. I think it's a pretty good 9. When you look at his resume, where he's playing, and the amount of goals he has scored, you have to give him some respect. And then obviously you cannot forget Shaqiri as the main playmaker for them. But then Acosta, again in midfield, that makes them a bit more mobile and more, balanced in that part of the field. And I think they have a very good squad. And when they're in the middle block, they're very tough to break. Out of that 4-4-1-1, 4-4-2 shape, they move pretty well. And then in transition, they can counter very aggressive. So it's kind of same ideas, but probably with a couple players that can make the difference for them.
It's not official yet that Andrew will play on Sunday, but there's some discussion that he might have action. What's it going to be like having him?
Oh, Andrew Goodman. Yeah, we don't know. That's up to them. If he's on the field, of course, I will say hi, and that will be good to see him again. But once the whistle blows, then it's Atlanta versus Chicago.
You mentioned fan margins that Toronto is doing. Do you expect that to be a one-off kind of thing? Just maybe this one game where you see it all year, or are other teams potentially going to adopt similar principles?
There are some other teams that might use that. At times, in the old system with the older coaches, Red Bulls, sometimes they were doing that very man for man. At times, Columbus did at times against us, and there are some games maybe not as aggressive as Toronto did, but yeah, and that was only the first half, just to clarify. Right. The second half, they put normally 2 on number 9, and then the side effect is you have one more in the build-up. As in the first half, they were very aggressive, 3-4-3 on the back, and Shane O'Neill stepping up all the way, and Firmino at times very, very close to our box. That was interesting, but again, we are finding the process and continuing evolving in our process, and when we face that, I think we'll be more prepared because we watched the film, the players understood what we can do better in those situations, and I hope next time we do better.
This is maybe impossible to answer, but if Yurgo, Santiago were there, and Caleb, do you think Toronto would have gone man-to-man in the first half against Sean?
Well, it's very hard to say. It's very hard to say, and I don't want to come across as, oh yeah, the absences of internationals were not there. I have full confidence in the lineup we put in as well. I think a lot of those players had an outstanding individual performance. Sadly, we couldn't get the 3 points, and there were a couple, cohesion issues in certain partnerships in there that maybe didn't help. But eventually, I think those guys are putting the work in, and I'm very confident. Anytime I use one of them, they're going to respond well. It was a good test for them, and I think for the most part I'm happy with their performance.
That being said, the differences and the benefits having everybody back, both in training and for match day. I know you have to navigate these things a couple of times during the season, but what is that like to have everybody back?
Yeah, you can see immediately the response of the whole squad when everyone is back. It's just, they're happier. They miss their friends. Here, we miss the interactions with some of them, and it was 6 players out of the international, plus Stian that had a couple of days off with the injury, surgery, and stuff like that. So once they're back, everyone is happy. Everyone is trying to play. Today, I think they enjoyed the session. They had very, very good session today. They made a couple very good plays, just one touch, and it was good to see. So the quality rises, of course, but also the mood of the team is much better.
Playing against the midfield like Chicago with Acosta, with Herbers, and with Shaqiri, all guys who are very mobile, all guys who can get forward and attack. What are the challenges that presents for your midfield?
Well, mobility, and how we can be able to unmark ourselves. So at times, when you play against 2 center needs, like similar to Orlando game, they were pressing 4-4-2 with Muriel and the 9. You had almost an American advantage in there. Your double pivot was Thiago against their double pivot. So it was about how we can find that extra center mid. When they match you in there, it's about how you can unmark yourself and either third and pass or attacking the space in certain areas. Or at times we can find the tactical solution to overload with an extra player in there to create a box or a diamond in there to create a mega advantage. It depends on the game plan that we're putting for Chicago, but eventually we need mobility, we need to be on the front foot, we need to be constantly playing, and the ball moves fast and playing and moving. That always helps when they match the triangle in the middle. But I would add that Gaston Jimenez could be playing too, and he's a very good player. I always appreciate the quality he brings to their game, so that's another possibility that, of course, will be difficult to handle for my players. But hopefully we can give them the solutions and the tools to succeed in that.
The flip side, when they have the ball and then they're able to open up, Shaqiri drifting wide, Herbers drifting wide, what challenges does that provide you defensively?
Yes, we have to be very alert in those transition moments. We already watched the film a little bit on the triggers that they get to be compact, but also to have a good transition moment for the moment where they regain the ball. So again, the discipline of the players, big emphasis on both fullbacks don't go at the same time, and the center meets our double pivot, always aware of the active defending, keep an eye on the important players they have. It's always the same process in MLS. Most of the opponents have a very nice 10, a very nice 9, and 1 or 2 quality wingers. So you have to be alert almost in every game. So we are constantly reminding our players about the active defending, and the balance, right? How many numbers we want in attack versus how many numbers we want in defense. And it's kind of standard nowadays.
Bartek and Gigi were at Euro qualifying, and Bartek, of course, in Poland made it through. Gigi, unfortunately, did not make it through with 3s, and Gigi's been very public about his dream of playing in Euros. Have you had a chance to talk to him about what those emotions are in the moment? And so it seems like he's a player that can really channel those emotions to make himself a better player on the field. Do you feel that?
Yeah, well, I won't mention too many details on our conversation. Of course, we talk, but what I can tell you is I expect that Gigi is very motivated, very hungry, and he is having a very good season so far. In 4 games, he has 4 goals. I think that's a pretty good average. Actually, I think it's 3 games for him because he didn't play the last one, so it's actually 4 goals in 3 games. So it's a very good average, and I expect him, to move on and to continue with his good performance in the season. And what a great opportunity to have this after a few days in the bands at home, in front of all of our fans, and having this kind of, revenge for him could be good. He's going to be motivated. He's going to be fine.
How's Dana Rios' integration coming along?
Good. Just want to share. Sorry, I forgot before. He will be out of the game. He had a little tightness in the calf,
Okay.
so he'll be out. Yesterday, we pulled him out. But other than that, he was very good. The couple sessions he did this week, he was pretty good. He's a number 9 that can play also as a second striker, so kind of different characteristics to Jamal. So it was a good signing because that gives us options in the front side of the team. He can be more mobile, technical to drop and to handle situations, decision making when he drops and switch opponent attack. So he can be also a link-up play, but then he can score goals. I hope one of these days you can watch him in those finishing reels. He can really score goals. So happy to have him, and I hope with repetitions he can get more used to our movements in the final third and hopefully integrate.
Derek mentioned that he appreciates that you speak to each player on the team the same way, whether they're DP, homegrown, whatever else. How important is that on an MLS roster to essentially just treat players the same way, regardless of roster status?
Well, I try. I always say that I don't treat them the same. I would say that I give them all the same amount of respect, the same amount of attention, but at times I cannot treat the same Yakumakis versus Lubrena. At times I have to be harder on Lubrena. He has to earn kind of that position to be treated a little bit different in certain situations. Now I demand the best of everyone in every training session. That the demands are probably the same, but then how I treat them, I have to recognize that at times it's not the same. But I try, and my whole coaching staff helps with that, to give them all attention and give them all communication and sessions and video analysis and individual one-on-one, so they can express themselves and they can tell me, coach, what else I need. And there's constant communication because we care about the development of everyone. And, we try that. It's never a perfect system, but we try at least to give them the same amount of respect and demands.
Gonzalo, I wanted to try to have a better understanding of getting in the headspace of players and yourself as the coach. And I think it starts on like a game day, at the beginning of the day. How do you kind of get yourself into that kind of super focused headspace that I'm sure you want to be in when a game is taking place? Can you talk about how your kind of psyche kind of morphs throughout the day until you get to those key moments of the game?
Yeah, well, when I'm at home, I like to spend some time with my family. I like to have breakfast with my family and just kind of unblock a little bit. And then as the day progresses, and we arrive to the stadium around 5.5 hours before the game, and then I start to think about the little details, the reminders for the players, and my message before the game, my message right after my presentation to them when I announce the game plan and the lineup and the little details that we need to do. What is my main message? And I have to summarize many things that I want to tell them in 2 or 3 specific things, how I can get to their heart at the last moment, how I can, inject a little bit of energy and passion. But at times they bring the passion to me because they're already excited, they're already saying things, but that's kind of my mental preparation is like that, kind of driving to the stadium and thinking about those things, what I'm going to say, then in my office trying to think about that, my message, the little details, the roles of my coaches. So I start to put all together the game plan and the roles of everyone in the staff, and that's the way I concentrate in the game. But I cannot lie, I'm very anxious. Arriving to the stadium 5.5 hours for me brings anxiety at times, and I need to slow down and breathe. But it depends on the games, but at times I'm a little more anxious than normal. I think it's part of this.
And I noticed against Orlando, unless I missed it, I didn't see you on the field watching the players warm up. I don't know if that's normal for you to not be out there, and I'm just curious what you are doing. Is it when the lineups come out, are you kind of like on a tactics board, like working things out, or what is that?
I'm pretty sure I was there.
Okay, were you there? Okay.
Yeah, maybe I was a bit late, or
okay.
I tried to be there at the moment they start the rondos, or they just finish the rondos, and then there are more long balls in the possession. That's where I arrive. I like to see that part of the possession, see and feel how my team is. Are they sharp? Are they okay? How's their mentality, body language? A little bit of the opponent, how they are, a little bit if I can guess certain tactical questions. At times they start to build in certain situations, like this guy's going to play on the right and the left. So I like to have that, and then I get back to my office where I refocus and start my process on my speech and that with players. But normally I'm there in the warm-ups. That's the answer.
Do you have a time when after lineups come out that you kind of need to get back with your coaches and just kind of confirm the plan that you have in place based on the lineup that you see from the other team?
Yeah, that's more organically because when we receive the lineup, it's normally when we're about to go out to the warm-up. So then some of my coaches are already out on the field, and then Rob, Eugenio, and Diego, at times we have the time to come to their, they're going to play like this, how we put the lineup for the players, and yeah, this guy will play right, left, and if we don't have the time because there are too many changes, I stay with my video analyst trying to digest that to see what other options, other lineups, and that's kind of the process. Normally it's very straightforward, but that's the process and the timing of that. Yeah.
Do you have a pregame?
When we're at home, we have a pregame meeting.
No, something specific that you only eat on game
I normally
days.
don't eat right before that meal. I don't eat. I drink a coffee and maybe some banana or something quick, but not a quick, not a big meal.
How many cups of coffee do you have on a game? How many
On a
cups?
game day,
What was it?
total probably 14.
Oh.
14. Yeah, sorry.
You've got to get a sponsorship.
Yeah, I need something. I'm here. We are here. Yeah.